Uh, well, back again, I suppose. So, about Garda sexual assault and sexual humiliation as a form of oppression. Um, so I was in the back of the van, and no one would tell me why they'd raided my home. No one would tell me why I was being arrested. I was just arrested. At one point, uh, to try and get me to calm down when I was freaking out because Ryan Gillen, I had a lot of trauma there and he tortured me, broke my wrists slowly in a St James's hospital room. So they took me back to Kevin Street, and I was taken to the charges window, and uh, I signed in, I suppose. They took me to an open cell, and they told me to strip. I thought it was going to be like a strip cavity search, and they kept repeating the same thing that the guy that had who'd molested my genitals while the other two guards were searching me. This is for our safety and your safety. This is for our safety and your safety. I said, what if I refuse? And I'd like, you've already searched me. Because, a strip search is very rarely necessary if they've already searched you. So this was an illegal strip search anyway. There was absolutely no reason for it. And they told me that if I basically they threatened violence. They told me they'd force me. They'd strip me themselves. So you know, faced with the option of being stripped by some guards, which is, that's some fucking hillbilly nightmare shit. I was forced to strip for them, but it wasn't a strip search. It was just a sexual humiliation because they just made me strip and stand in front of them while they kind of smiled, and I went to put my arms up so they could do the full cavity stuff, and they were like, no, just stand there, and they made me turn around once. um, Actually, no, sorry, they didn't make me turn around. I turned around, and they told me to stop, and then thinking it was um, a cavity search. I went to I suggested, do I lift my genitals, and they were like, no, and I went to turn around and spread my cheeks, and they were like, no, 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 and all they wanted was me to stand there naked in an open cell with the door open, so they could stare at me and check my genitals. No checking for anything. No, asking me to, like, no, nothing that pertains to a strip search or anything, or a cavity search, while kind of chuckling to themselves. And they just, so after a minute or two of staring at me naked, um, remember, they didn't want me to turn around. They they told me I could get dressed, and they were kind of laughing and chuckling about it. So it was just a form of humiliation and degradation. Um, and you know, that was, what's that? That's sexual humiliation, sexual assault, number 3, 4 now at this stage. Um, I'll get to the charges window stuff because telling that is traumatic enough. There's no reason for it. I asked some other people. They confirmed that it's just a form of sexual humiliation that the guards do to dehumanize you. So, this is the guards that you all talk about, or that you defend in DMs and stuff to me sometimes, or in messages, replies. Um, sick fucking knuckle shuffling motherfuckers who take a traumatized disabled person and force them to strip at the threat of violence so they can check their genitals. and just make them stand there and leer and laugh at them. That's the guards. That's what the guards do. Um, and people should know that. People should talk about it. People should talk about the fact that the guards use sexual assault and sexual humiliation as forms of dehumanization and power and control. Like, these are the same people that rape sex workers and call it, no, it wasn't rape, it was a freebie. I was getting a freebie from her because she really likes me and I let her keep her patch. Like, these, these aren't fucking normal people. These are fucking monsters who have strayed so far from the light that, like, this shit's normal. Stripping someone to check their genitals, force them to stand there so you can smile and laugh at them in an open door so anyone can see. And I know that the door has to be open for normal cavities, but it wasn't a normal cavity. There was nothing done. Multiple people have asked me, did they do this? Did they do that? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, that wasn't a search. And I was like, yeah. So, that's... And coming up, I'll go through the attempt to get me to lash out while charging me, because that's what they do as well. I mean, guards will actually try and create situations. So guards are out there creating criminals, creating scumbags, trying to get people to lash out, putting them in intense situations to see will they lash out at them, so guards can then get an easy charge. Oh, Judge, Your Honour, they assaulted me, and go to the Garda redress board, because that's what they're doing. They're defrauding the state. And that's the other thing. If you know any guards who are Freemasons or members of any organisations, you should report it, because they get fired, because it's not part. It's directly against the Garda Síochána Act. If you know guards that are working covert second jobs, bouncers, whatever, report them. That's not entirely kosher. It's the only thing you can do. We got an endemically corrupt police force that's using, the same tactics as Russian soldiers. As all those bad guys you hear about around the world, they're like, they use rape as a weapon, they use sexual humiliation as a weapon, the monsters. Our police, the Gardaí, or Garda Síochána, the Fluke, do the same thing. I don't know what more to say. You're dealing with fucking lunatics who don't view you as a person. Unless you're related to them. Maybe, if you're lucky. So, yeah, this is part, I think, 5. I'll get back to it. As you can see, this shit's traumatic and it's difficult for me to record. But yeah, just remember, guards are pretty much the same as members of ISIS and Russia, Russian soldiers, and other, authoritarian militaries or terrorists. Like when you use sexual humiliation, sexual assault, rape as forms of control and oppression, and you are the same. So, to those guys that were talking to me about, what the Russians are doing is so terrible, be aware, your colleagues are the same. And that's really depressing, and I don't know how you guys sleep at night. But I hope eating your feelings is still working out. This is EF Fluff slowly being murdered by corrupt guards and a corrupt barrister, Ruth Cannon, who appears to be operating with impunity. Hopefully she's contacted her professional indemnity insurance. If she hasn't, maybe one of you can. You can donate into the PayPal. Everything helps. I am absolutely destitute because of this, because they've destroyed my life. Thanks for listening. I'll try and check back in a bit later. Sorry to the people who keep asking me to make these with my face. I don't like that. I'm a private, introverted person, and voice is probably the best you're gonna get. Thank you very much for listening. This is EF Fluff, slowly being murdered.